Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett. Oh no, I think I'm about to have another episode.
Hey everybody, Charlie Jewett here with the Renovating Retirement Podcast. Long time no record. I know, life is interesting, and I don't have a weekly show. It's not a bedtime show that happens on Fridays at 9 p.m. to tuck in the little kiddos. It is a spontaneous, random expression of the things that I learned and of the things that I think are important for you. And 184 episodes in, we're still doing it that way. So sorry for the 2-month delay, but it took some time to work out some other things, and I'm back and doing episode 184. And today we're going to talk about the mysterious math of market movement, the most popular investment by far for people who are in the accumulation phase of retirement, where you're saving up your nest egg, and unfortunately, for the distribution phase of retirement, where people are trying to live off of that nest egg. They're taking their chunk of money and trying to turn it back into streams. See, we save streams of money monthly. As your income comes in, we peel off a little bit through 401ks or IRAs or annuities or life insurance or rental properties where you're paying the mortgage, whatever it is. We take our streams of income and put a little bit of that away monthly to build up a chunk of money, a nest egg. And what's the point of the nest egg? You know, the golden goose, right? What's the point of this thing? It is to deliver back to you streams of income in retirement, because all of retirement planning has always been about, and will always be about, creating an income. It's 30 to 40 years of unemployment. Yes, you might get Social Security. Yes, you might get pensions. Yes, you may have rental properties that distribute income, or you've purchased annuities. And I have met some people that don't need any income from their nest egg during the retirement years. So all the money they saved up is actually for medical expenses and trips and leaving to people you care about, kids, grandkids, and things like that. But the norm, overwhelmingly, is that people need to create more income than they have in retirement. They don't get enough from Social Security and pensions and things like that. They have to create more income. They need to live off of their nest egg. The assets they've saved up have to create a paycheck. So when I say unfortunately, the most common place that people have money is the stock market, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, S&P 500, those types of things. It is because of all the choices, besides putting the money in the bank and trying to live off of, whatever CDs are paying. Besides that, the income you can take from a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds is the lowest of all of the available options, except CDs. You can take about, today they say 2.8 to 2.9% income stream from your portfolio, because as the market goes up and down and you're taking money out of it and it tries to recover, which takes 5, 6, 7 years historically, and you're taking money out during those down years and while it's trying to recover, the math doesn't work out very well. So 2.8, 2.9% is today's withdrawal percentage. They call it the safe withdrawal percentage, and I've done episodes on this. It used to be 4%. They called it the 4% rule. William Bengen came up with that in the early 2000s, but today it's about 2.8. So if you have $1 million in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and you don't change, you don't graduate from your pediatrician to a family practitioner when you're 18, so to speak, if you stay in those growth tools, even though all the other growth tools beat the market as well, but if you stay in that, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, kind of how you accumulated the assets, and try to take an income stream and don't graduate to retirement-based tools, income-based tools, things that were designed to give your money back to you, as opposed to just grow it over time, you will basically live an inferior retirement. Out of $1 million, you can take about $28,000, $29,000 a year of income pre-tax. Well, annuities increase that to 5 or 6%, plus they're guaranteed. Cash value life insurance would increase that to close to 9 or 10%, because there's no opportunity cost. If you have $1 million in life insurance and you take out $50,000, your million does not go down to $950,000. There's no opportunity cost. You're never killing your sheep. You're never reducing the dollars that are earning interest for you. And the only tool on the planet that works that way, that does not have an opportunity cost where you're killing your sheep and spending your dollars by taking withdrawals to give yourself income, is cash value life insurance. So you can get 9, 10%. So if you have $1 million in there, you can live off of $80, $90 to $100,000. Plus, it happens to be tax-free, which is kind of awesome. Now, there's some growth tools out there, land banking and things like that, that don't give you an income while you own it, but as part of a laddering strategy, hey, let's live off of cash for 5 years. while my life insurance is being funded, and then let's turn that thing on in year 6, while land banking is growing for 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 years, and that's been growing in the double-digit range. Some parts of the country over 20% for the last, 17, 18, 20 years. So laddering, chopping your money into buckets and having that later ladder where you don't need the income for 10, 11, 12 years, if you can find a growth tool like land banking, man, you can crank your retirement income through the moon. Can something go wrong? Yes, it could. Have we ever seen anybody lose money in the land banking companies that we work with? No, never since 2008 until now. And 2008 and 9 were pretty rough real estate years. And people still didn't lose money because it's not a volatile investment. You have to remember with stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, you're basically buying pieces of companies, at least with stocks and mutual funds, you're buying pieces of companies and hoping that what happens to the value of those companies. You're hoping they go up, which we call appreciation. You're hoping the stock value, if it's at 30, goes to 70 or whatever it is. You're not hoping they lose money. Land is the same thing. We're buying it, hoping that it goes up. But land and companies function very differently. The CEO of a company could get caught cheating on his wife and the stock market, the stock price plummets. That doesn't happen with land. If you find an area where Walmart and McDonald's and Warren Buffett and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tesla and all these people, or Elon Musk, I guess I should call him. I shouldn't call him Tesla, but Elon Musk, you can find an area where they're all investing. Walmart and McDonald's are the two biggest land banking companies on the planet, so they do the research. We do what I call hippo bird investing. You're not the hippo doing all the work. You're the stupid little bird on the back eating parasitically the bugs off of its back and taking the free ride. Don't do all the work. Follow the big boys and the big girls that have already done all the work because they have a whole lot more money at stake. Walmart won't even put a Walmart somewhere unless there's 250,000 households that they're gonna service, and they know that it's going to be profitable, and then they happen to buy the land they want and then buy all the land around it, and then they hold it and they do what's called land banking. So I'm not saying, we're stupid, we're not geniuses, we're not doing a good job, but what do geniuses do? They don't make it up on their own. They follow very proven paths, and one of the most proven things you could ever do is say, well, some company that has a lot more at stake, that has hundreds of times more people studying this and has way more money and does more research than I could possibly do in my entire lifetime, when they identify a wise area, a good area, or a wise investment, investing is all about probabilities. The probabilities are a successful company like Walmart is probably right. If they were right most of the time, they'll probably be right this time. And then land is not volatile, so it's not going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, crashing 2 years, recovering for 5 years, so you've lost 7 years of compound interest. We just don't get that. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent for land banking, but when it comes to retirement planning strategies, income planning, the worst retirement plan you could possibly have based on income and how much you're keeping after taxes is have a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and try to take money out of it. So $1 million, diversified portfolio, try to take $30,000, $40,000 a year. You couldn't possibly have lower income with more risk than that. Laddering, a 5-year annuity for the first 5 years while you're funding a life insurance policy, and then you're going to flip on tax-free income or tax-free distributions. Don't choke on your fettuccine, Mr. Compliance. Don't call it income when you take money out to pay your bills. That would upset Edward Morgan Lynch, and they might cry. Boo freaking who. Whatevs. Compliance guys, calm down, back off. If you take distributions from life insurance and it's tax-free, years 6 through 10, or maybe years 6 through forever, but during those 10 years where you lived off the annuity and then flipped on the life insurance, in the background, something like land banking is cooking, earning double-digit returns. If it continues, there are no guarantees, but no one's ever lost money in the companies we use, and they've been earning over 20%. That's pretty good. That's getting probabilities on your side. That's hundreds of times more conservative than putting money, doing what our grandparents did, putting money in the stock market and trying to take an income off of it and hoping that it behaves. Remember, the market is at all-time highs as I record this. That is the equivalent of Costco saying, we have never charged more for meat, we have never charged more for couches, we have never charged more for a laptop or a 17-gallon jug of freaking mayonnaise. come on down. The prices have never been higher. Buy today. That sounds silly. But what do the wisest investors say about the stock market? You buy when there's blood in the streets. When is the time to buy? It's when the market crashes and everybody's losing money and they're crying and they're committing suicide and blood is running through the streets because the market's crashed and it's a quasi-mini depression. That's when you buy. Okay? What's the opposite of that? Wouldn't the opposite of that, crashing markets, everyone's depressed, killing themselves? Wouldn't the opposite of that be the markets are at the highest they've ever been? There's a euphoria. People are not committing suicide. They're bragging, giving stock tips to all their friends, saying, don't use annuities or life insurance because the market's killer. Wouldn't the opposite of buy when there's blood in the streets be sell and don't buy more? Or maybe I could flip those around. Don't buy more and maybe sell and take your profits when the market's as high as it's ever been and there's a euphoria. I think the answer is yes. Am I giving investing advice over the air, telling you specifically, Bill Johnson in Idaho or whoever you are, Shaniqua Jones in California? Am I telling you, Mr. or Mrs., what to do? No, I'm telling you how money works and how to put probabilities on your side, and more importantly, how to be a conservative. Should you sell the market right now? There is no answer to that. If you're an aggressive and you can afford to lose 50, 60% of your account, maybe not. You like to play the game. You enjoy Las Vegas. You like gambling. If you're nearing retirement and you are a conservative, what do conservatives do? Say, oh my gosh, let me gamble 30, 40, 50% of all the money I have invested because it might go up to even a higher high and I'll make another 10%. It's not how conservatives think. That's not how we make decisions. Conservatives think like this and make these types of decisions. Thank you, mystery market, for giving me fake growth that doesn't come from companies doing more business during COVID. It's just fake. It's some weird euphoria or some reaction to political and economic decisions, whatever. Thank you for giving me all this growth and letting my accounts make money as the market hits all-time highs. But as a conservative, I want to lock in those gains so that I never lose them, even if the market kept going up and I gave up something I could have had. That's how conservatives think. Conservatives buy insurance, spend money every month in case I have a car crash, my house burns down, I die, I have a accidental death and dismemberment, whatever, have to go into long-term care. Conservatives spend unnecessary money for the in cases of life to guarantee and make sure that life goes the way they want to. And I am a conservative. I'm an insurance agent. I'm, a thought leader in the insurance industry, in the retirement planning industry, in the conservative investing industry. Conservatives, we don't know if we're going to have that event, if the market's going to crash, but we're willing to spend extra money or give up potential gains to protect, care for, and keep what we already have. So I talked about this 4 years ago, way in the beginning of the podcast, on an episode called Is Your Advisor Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Because the math used in the retirement planning industry, the math used on your annual statements or your monthly statements, the math used by your advisor, I can basically 100% guarantee you a fifth grader could show them that the math they're using isn't accurate. And I'm going to talk about it again today because maybe you didn't hear that podcast episode. Maybe you need the reminder. Maybe I say it a different way and it's helpful for you. But most importantly, because the market is now at all-time highs and it's very important to understand the math. What we're really talking about is the difference between compound interest versus the mathematical mean. Compound interest, using the rule of 72, if you're compounding $100,000 at 7.2%, in 10 years, you're going to roughly have $200,000. Money doubles in 10 years at 7.2%, roughly. Well, the mathematical mean is a completely different area of of the math, arithmetic or mathematics or whatever you want to call it. That's, I've got 20 different numbers. I add them together. I divide by 20, and there's some sort of an average. But in the world of compounding assets or taking an income, it's a meaningless number because you can average 20% and end up with $0. I mean, you go to Las Vegas, day one, your money goes up 140%. Cool. Day two, you lose 100% of your money. Well, I don't care how much you're investing, $1 or 25 billion. If it goes up 140% and the next day you lose 100% of that new higher number, losing 100% of any account, you have no money left over. But what are you averaging using the fake math that 100% of the industry is using, your advisor is using, the retirement planning calculators are using, the mutual fund companies are using, Dave Ramsey is using, Susie Orman is using? Can I want to lie about annuities and charge you 1.25% to underperform the market and steal from you? Fisher is using. Everyone's using it except for me and my team. The math they're using, you would be averaging 20% if you went up 140 on day one and lost it all on day two. You're averaging 20%. You could literally tell everybody you're making 20% over 2 days. And you have lost all of your money. Mathematical mean or average rate of return doesn't mean growth. That's why you keep hearing over and over and over again. The market makes 8 to 10% if you leave your money in long enough. Okay, it doesn't make 8 to 10%. It averages 10%. And sometimes they go back 210 years. Do I really care what the market did before we had cars and electricity? No, I really don't. Do I care what the market's doing today in the technological age with the internet and social media and everything changing and COVID and how people, the market's a measurement of human emotions. Do I care how it was 200 years ago? No. I care how it's been since the year 2000, where the market has only averaged 6.59% until the end of 2020. We'll find out where it is at the end of 2021. It might be up unless we have the correction that I'm warning you about. And I'm not warning you saying we know it's coming. I'm warning you saying if you're a conservative and don't protect what you have, by the way, all of the safe tools I'm going to recommend to you, all of them would protect you anyway, and they all make more than the market. If you had owned the safe tools from January 1, 2000 until the end of last year, you would have more money in your account anyway, because more risk, more reward hasn't been true for the last 30 years. The stock market has become an unnecessary vehicle. Do I have a blacksmith in my life? No, because I don't have horses. Some of you do, but not because you have to get to town on the horse, because cars haven't been created yet. People that have horses today, like my uncle, it's because of joy. They love the horses. It's a choice. I have a dear friend that rides his horse every weekend. I can't even get him to text me back on the weekends because he's off on a horse. That's fine. Maybe you need a farrier or a blacksmith. Do I need a blacksmith in my life? No, it's an unnecessary profession for Charlie Jewett's lifestyle. Well, I'm telling you, 18 years and 2,000 financial plans later, the stock market is a completely unnecessary tool in any American's life. You don't need to have money in the stock market. Did I buy stock the other day because it was at $17 and the medical company is coming out of their whatever phase 2 cancer trials or whatever you call it and starting to get offers where people are going to buy the company and they're comparing the offers and the stock price might go up to $700 instead of $17? Yes, I bought some stock. I'm not counting on it to pay me in retirement. That's my gambling money. That's my fun money. That's my, hey, if it hits, I pay for 3 years of my kid's college or the whole entire college or whatever. That's my risk money, not my income money. The closer you get to retirement, the more you need every single dollar to give you the income you want. So compound interest versus the mathematical mean is a huge deal. And do you think the industry, which makes the most money by you putting money in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds? Let's take a pause here. If you buy an annuity, the advisor gets paid one time, sometimes as low as 2.5%, sometimes 4%, sometimes 5%, sometimes 7 or 8%. Let's exaggerate it through the roof. You put $100,000 into an annuity, the advisor makes $8,000 one time, and then has to answer your questions help you with anything you need for the rest of your life and is never paid again. Why are there so many orphaned annuities where the advisor sold it to you and then disappeared? Why are there so many orphaned life insurance policies where the advisor sold it to you or the agent sold it to you and then disappeared? Because they only get paid once and then disappear. I'm still servicing my clients from 18 years ago. One of my longest standing clients, they actually let me stay in their home for the first 6.5 years of when I was visiting Hawaii. I went to Hawaii every month for 10 years to service my clients in Hawaii and to build a business there. For the first 6.5 years, they gave me their spare bedroom. I'm still doing service work. When I stop recording this today, I need to call an insurance company and help them take a $50,000 loan from one of their policies. Most agents just disappear, and I know why. Okay, so annuities and life insurance pay one time. Land banking pays one time, and possibly 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, if someone reinvests in land, we might get paid again. How does stocks, bonds, and mutual funds pay? How does Edward Morgan Lynch pay? Edward Jones, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley. If you're paying someone, Ken Fisher, if you're paying somebody an annual fee, whether it comes out monthly, quarterly, or annually, doesn't matter. If you're paying a small piece of your account every year for someone else to do the professional gambling for you, what kind of a lifestyle does that create for them? All you have to do is look at how they live. Driving the Ferrari, playing golf at the club with the other advisors, or trying to find a new client. And this is really important. Most advisors are not managing your money. They're not sitting there trying to find stocks like I just told you that might go from $17 to $700. They're not doing that. They're on the golf course or spending money or doing seminars trying to find another you. They're trying to become polygamous. They're not saying, hey, I'm just going to make you wealthy and make all my money on your account. They can't grow your money that fast. Even if they grew your money by 20%, their income only goes up 20% because your account is 20% bigger. That's what you want. That's what you think they're going to do. Hey, our goals are aligned. The more I make you, the bigger your account gets, the more money I make. Okay. Or they spend all their money marketing for new clients, which I don't think is wrong in general. I think it's certainly wrong if you abandon the goal, which is growing people's money, but they're going to try to find another you. If you're the Joneses, they're going to look for the Smiths, because if you gave them $500,000 and then so did the Smiths, their income just doubled. It didn't go up 12%, didn't go up 20%. It doubled. And most advisors are adding 40 to 50 new clients a year. So it is a marketing, evangelistic business, not a wealth creation or how do I grow my client's business? And we can see that because advisors don't beat the market anyway. 100% of the research can prove to you if you did your own research, or you can borrow and piggyback on the research I've done in 18 years, or the fact that Warren Buffett told his wife, if he dies, to just buy the index. He didn't tell her which advisor was beating the market and who she should work with. Warren Buffett, folks, this is Warren Buffett, told his wife in his estate plan to buy the index through Vanguard or whatever, which basically is the equivalent of saying, there is no one on the planet that's beating the S&P 500 that I can trust you to work with, so just skip them and buy it yourself. Can you let that sink in for a minute? I mean, come on. Can you just let that sink in for a minute? Advisors have failed. The entire industry of money management, or let someone charge you money to farm your land for you, so to speak, which they're not even farming it. They're throwing seeds and sitting back with a lemonade hoping, letting grow whatever grows. They're not out there with a rake and a hoe working it. If the entire industry can't outperform the S&P 500, which means you're better off not having hired them in the first place, isn't that the most epic failure of any industry of all time? There's literally zero reason, nothing, not a single speck of evidence or an argument that you should have an advisor in your life that you pay a fee to grow your money, especially if you're paying a 1% fee and then you graduate to the income phase. You actually retire. The whole goal of this thing, why am I saving a nest egg? Why do I have the goose that lays the golden eggs? Because you're going to have the golden years, and you want them to be golden, baby. If you have an advisor in the golden years and you're taking out 4%, which is too high, but you're taking out 4% income and they're charging you 1%, aren't they getting 25% of your income for underperforming the market with no evidence that they even need to be in your life? Folks, it's just math. This is a math-based industry. You don't have to trust Charlie Jewett. Most people don't trust me at all, and then I tell them not to trust me. You don't have to. Math doesn't require anybody's opinion or trust. You know, if I had an opinion and I said the sun does not come up every day, you should see me as crazy or a liar. If you believe that making more money, you're going to make more money in the market by paying someone to gamble, all of the evidence is against you. And I'm not calling you crazy. I'm not calling you a liar, because all of the people that I've talked to who listen to my show, they just didn't know. We don't know what we don't know until we do. And now I'm telling you, inside the industry, I mean, I have a Series 65 license. I'm allowed to charge you a fee. I'm allowed to make you the annuity instead of selling you one. You have $1 million, give it to me. I'll stick it in the stock market, let some third-party manager manage it while I go play golf. And every month, my paycheck off of your $1 million, my let me gamble for you fee, comes into my bank account, which is called mailbox money in the industry, and I am playing golf. So I have guaranteed income. You have all the risk. I just made you the annuity. I have that license, and I have 0 clients, personal clients that I have. I have one company that has 40 to 50 employees at any given time where I manage their 401k, because it has to be in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And if it has to be in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, you might as well have somebody who cares, who's honest, and who has built a great team protecting the money as much as possible. But when people quit that company and transfer their 401ks to an IRA, do you think I keep them in the market and make them an annuity while I get guaranteed income and they take all the risk and can take a super low income with high? No! I move them to the annuity. Only one side of the table, client on one side, advisor on the other side giving advice. Only one side of the table gets guaranteed income for life. You or the advisor. If you buy the annuity, you get it. If you put your money in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds while they charge you a fee, they get the guaranteed income while you carry all the risk. So the question to ask yourself is, in your professional relationship, your money management marriage, whoever you picked, Edward Jones, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Ken Fisher, that amazing person who's supposed to be a fiduciary and have your best interest in mind, which side of the table did they recommend get the guaranteed income for life? Did they teach you about annuities, which you can take 2-3 times the income you could get from a stock portfolio? Did they teach you about annuities, or did they make you the annuity so that they can have the guaranteed income for life and play golf? Things that make you go, Remember Arsenio Hall from back in the day? I could do a fist pump in the air, but you can't see me because it's an audio podcast. So it's deceptive on purpose. Look at your investment statements. You're going to see averages. They're all baloney. It's the mathematical mean. So they tell us the market makes 8 to 10%, blah, blah, blah. Dave Ramsey, I still can't figure out why, says that mutual funds compound at 12%. By the way, could you picture any rational human being who doesn't have Alzheimer's, is not known to be an Adolf Hitler evil person, but can you imagine anyone in their right mind saying mutual funds make 12% and you should pay off your home, which is what Dave Ramsey teaches? Okay, so there's $1 million sitting in a portfolio, and he says it's going to make you $120,000 per year, 12%. Then you have this home that's $1 million. Well, I guess we can't deduct it. Well, that's fine. We don't need the deductions. You have $1 million mortgage on your home. I know it's a huge home. And it costs you 3% interest every year, so it costs you $30,000. So your money's making $120,000, your mortgage is costing you $30,000. You're making $90,000 a year just keeping them separate, having a liability and an asset. Can you picture any human being who's not drunk or stoned saying you should not make the $120,000 a year because spending $30,000 a year is bad? Debt is bad. You should give up the free $90,000 a year of what we call arbitrage or spread and just take that $1 million and pay off your mortgage. It's a math-based industry, and where you get in trouble is making it a trust-based industry. Trust has nothing to do with this industry. I mean, if someone gives you the math and the math is accurate, you'll end up trusting them, but it's not them. It's the math. Where do you get in trouble? Oh, well, Dave Ramsey has Financial Peace Ministries, and he's in my church, and I like my pastor. He chews gum and doesn't have bad breath, and he reads me the Psalms. And Dave is here, and so is my pastor, and that must mean that they know how to do math. They have nothing to do with each other. If Mother Teresa said 2 + 2 is 5, she's wrong. If Hitler or Bernie Madoff said 2 + 2 is 4, they're right. You don't need an advisor. You don't need advice. You need clarity. You need data. I mean, if you're not running over babies and old ladies in your car, it's because you have a windshield and brakes, for heaven's sakes. You can see them and stop. That's all you need. You don't need someone in the passenger seat telling you how to drive while you have a blindfold on, which is the equivalent of what most financial planning relationships are. You literally can't see anything. Don't know any of your... Now, some of the people that listen to this show are crazy smart, and you can see a lot. And those are the types of people that tend to love adding me to the team because you're already incredible. I just end up bringing a 2 heads are better than 1 friendship to your life. And then there's stuff that you can't see as a consumer. You cannot do some of the research without the licenses. So having 18 years of experience and the licenses and some of the tools, like you could never compare every income annuity on the planet as a consumer on Google. You can't. I have an expensive software I pay for, which creates a commodity. I can take every annuity in the country and compare them. And like in mortgages, lower interest is better. In income annuities, higher paycheck is better. Or equally high paychecks, but one of them goes up every year based on CPI or inflation. That's better. It's math. It's not Charlie Jewett's awesome and trustworthy. It's just math. You could get it from a puppet or from a book. And if it's accurate math, you're good. So the market doesn't make 8 to 10%. It averages 8 to 10%. It doesn't make 12. Certainly doesn't make 12. And if it did, you should never pay off your mortgage, which is ridiculous. That's why I don't pay off mortgages. And I wrote a free book on this. You can go to jewettwealth.com or renovatingretirement.com and go to the books section. It's on both websites and download it for free. It's called The 2 Ways to Be Debt-Free, Why You Should Never Pay Off Your Mortgage and How to Use Arbitrage to Create Wealth at the same exact cost as having no mortgage. And it's free, and it's only 28 pages long, for God's sake. Just go listen to it. So which version are your professionals using, the real math or the fake math? I don't know. Let's talk about the mysterious math of market movement. If you have $100,000 in the market, and the market goes up 50%, you now have $150,000. What would it take to lose the 50? Many people say a 50% loss. Because then you're averaging 0 over 2 years. Up 50, down 50, divided by 2, that's 0. Well, when money grows at 0, 100,000 should turn into 100,000. But it takes a lot less than that because the number is now bigger. 50% of 100,000 is 50. So when you go from 100 to 150 because of a 50% increase, you have $150,000, but it's only a 33.33% loss that will take the entire gain away from you. So if you want to be honest, it does not mean you don't have any money in the market. I just told you. I bought stock the other day. I understand these rules, but I'm not doing it ignorantly or blindly with money I need to live on that I have to count on. I'm not doing it with my money that's needed. I'm gambling. I'm using the market with an honesty that this is gambling, and there's nothing wrong with that unless you have a gambling addiction. It's usually not the market. It's usually Las Vegas and things like that. Okay, so big gains can be erased by smaller losses. If you're going to use the stock market, you must use it honestly, all right? What if I have $100,000 and I experience a 50% loss, like I'm expecting to come someday in the stock market? A correction. Well, $100,000 loses 50%. You have $50,000 left over. How do I get that back? A 50% gain the next year? Because that would be averaging 0? negative 50 plus positive 50 divided by 2 is 0. So, it should turn back into 100 grand. The answer is no. If I only get 50% next year, it's 50% of the new low number of 50,000. So we only go up to $75,000. I need a 100% gain the next year. By the way, I don't suggest you do this research. It's boring. But going from 1950 until 2020, a 70-year period, do you know how many times the market has gone up 100% in a single year or has doubled in a year? Zero. I can't find a single time it's done that. So if you lose 50%, you're hosed. You're not making money. I have a podcast episode called None of My Clients Are in Recovery. Losing money over a 1 or 2 year period, even if it bounced back the next year, made 100%, let's say down 50, up 100, you still lost 2 years of compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world. The most important thing in growing an account is not the fake rate of return, it's compound interest, the compound annual growth rate, CAGR, the real rate of return. And there's calculators I can show you how to go see what the market's done. That's where I get that 6.59 number over the last 21 years. The market's only compounded at 6.59. We'll see where it ends up at the end of the year. I can hear you already, but we don't know if we're going to get a correction or not yet, so we're going to wait for the numbers. But a 50% loss takes a 100% gain, which does not usually happen over a 2-year period. Even if it did, you lost 2 years of growth. It usually takes 6 to 7 years. In a 30 to 40 year working career, you can't afford 6 or 7 years taking a break. If it happens twice, you're toast. You will forever live an inferior life in retirement, and every generation after you will have less money than they were supposed to or they could have if you hadn't used that fake math gambling methodology. So large gains, 50% up, can be erased by smaller losses, 33% loss. Small losses, although 50% is not a small loss, but relative to this number it is, small losses, 50%, need huge gains. You have to have 100% just to get back to zero and have lost the 2 years of compound interest. It's not right or wrong. I just want you sober. I want you honest. I want your eyes open. I want you to have clarity and to have that windshield. Because when you see clearly, you're a genius. That's why you don't need to trust me or anybody. It's a math-based industry. And when you see clearly, you're so smart and you make such great decisions. If you want help with anything, just reach out. Charlie at renovatingretirement.com, Charlie at renovatingretirement.com. You've heard me over the years, Charlie at jewettwealth.com, still works. Charlie at modfinancial.com, works now. Charlie at renovatingretirement.com, still works. They all come to me. Reach out if you'd like help or want to have a conversation or ask questions, and I will do what I do, answer questions. I've done it the same way for 18 years. So here's 3 investments that I just think are interesting for you to know. All of them have earned more than the market, and none of them have had losses over the last, we can measure some of them back to the 70s and 80s, but certainly let's just take this century. I don't care about the weather from 1970. I don't care about traffic from 1980. Certainly don't care about market movement from 200 years ago, but I do care about this century, the last 21 years, where we live now, how the market performs now, what investment alternatives to the market exist now that you can choose from. I do care about. So here's 3 investments. All have earned more than the market, so you would have ended up with a larger nest egg, and all of them give you a higher income in retirement, which is why I say the stock market has become an unnecessary tool for anyone, the way I don't use blacksmiths. Fixed indexed annuities. Oh my gosh, Charlie, I heard such bad things about those and bleh, bleh, bleh. Of course you have, because most of them aren't worth the paper they're printed on. But most musicians don't make good money. And I think Drake is doing well. I think Taylor Swift's doing okay. I think Ariana Grande can probably afford a house or 2 and doesn't go without food. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Are all annuities good? No. Are all annuities bad? No. There are 3 or 4 annuities that are incredible out there. One of them's been averaging over 10.5% for the last 10 years as the market's been going up, but with no chance of loss. So if the correction had come, or if the correction comes in the future, nobody can lose that 30, 40, 50% and then have to recover. Fixed index annuities have a floor. When the market goes down, you make zero. When the market goes up, you get a nice healthy portion of it. So if you can make stock-like returns or even bond-like returns in a tool where you cannot experience a loss when the market goes down, that's a winner. As it turns out, these safer, bond alternative annuities are actually beating equities, securities. They're beating stock portfolios. They're beating the S&P 500 itself, which is why I don't put money in the S&P 500, or I certainly don't pay Edward Jones or Ken Fisher to gamble for me. So no losses, earn more than the market. Some of them have pension arrangements where you can have a guaranteed income 2 or 3 times higher than you could take from a portfolio. And if you happen to run out of money, you still get the income. That's a pension. Yay. How about properly structured cash value life insurance? Does Charlie Jewett, like I would talk about myself in the third person, that's creepy. Do I think that all life insurance is a good investment? No, on the contrary. I think really close to 100% of the life insurance policies sold in the United States are trash, and they were built by someone that either is immoral, they're doing it on purpose, or, to maximize commissions, or has a serious problem with ignorance. And I don't mean rudeness, I mean lack of knowledge. They haven't been shown. I've spent 18 years, and I'm on big stages, teaching all the time. I have the podcast, I have the books, I have training. I'm on the corporate team of Mod Financial. I have all kinds of stuff going on where I'm showing agents all the time how to do it better. The honest ones say thank you, and they give their clients what's best for them, but their commissions go down because that's the way the industry works. What's better for me is worse for you. So as a fiduciary, if I do what's best for you, I get paid less. So the dishonest ones, which is by far the biggest group of people I've bumped into. I mean, I showed a room of 300 people how to do what I do once, and 0 of them do it today. Now, I've bumped into some better groups now. There's 150 people I was with recently that are all incredible people of integrity, and we're starting to build an army of people that do it like they're fiduciaries in their heart, not just on paper. And they are doing it the right way. But a properly structured cash value life insurance policy where you go in and you pimp my ride, so to speak, you change everything so that it works better for the consumer, that is going to beat the stock market big time. Those are averaging 7 to 8%, and there's no taxes due. So no possibility of losses when the market goes down, and no taxes due. So it's like they call it the rich man's Roth IRA. You don't pay taxes on the growth. You don't pay taxes on the distributions. You don't pay taxes on the transfer when you pass away, at least no income taxes. That beats the market without the risk. I use it all the time. Basically, in my world, annuities are going to be for pre-tax money like 401ks and IRAs, because what are they for? They're for retirement income. What do annuities do better than everything else? Pretty much, lifetime income. After-tax money, inheritance, home equity from the sale of a home, money sitting in the bank, monthly contributions of whatever you're putting away towards retirement. Pay taxes on it first, put it away. Pretty much clean money that's not pre-tax inside of IRAs and 401ks is going to go into a properly structured cash value life insurance policy. Both of those beat the market. And then land banking. So what is land banking? Land banking is buying land in the path of growth in ridiculous, obvious places, like where Walmart builds 6 superstores. That means they're ready for 1.5 million people, and only 700,000 live there right now. And every home builder is building master plan communities, and the state of California is widening 2-lane highways to 5 lanes on each side, and the Olympics are going to be there, and 3 high-speed trains are meeting there, and the airport just became an international airport. Like super obvious hippo bird investing. Like every sign on the planet says people are coming. And then you buy land at a discount and you sit on it. So the companies I work with buy the land at a discount, sell it to my clients at a discount, 20, 25% equity when you buy it day one, and you sit on it. Those have been making more than 20%. It's not a guarantee. It'd be illegal for me to lie and not tell you the track record. There are some licenses that I could choose to get as an advisor where it would be illegal to tell you the track record of certain investments. I purposely don't carry those because I think it's criminal. To not be allowed to tell the truth. You guys, some people say, are you a CFP? And I say, I would never do that to you. I would never become a certified financial planner and do that to you. for several reasons. If you've heard my podcast episode from 2016, Wolves in Sheep's Credentials, you'll know why. But if I get the CFP designation, there are literally truths I am not allowed to tell you. If I go get a Series 6 or a Series 7 or some sort of a securities license, there are some truths I'm not allowed to tell you. I will never do that to my prospects, my clients, my friends, my family, or myself. Never. Now, something like land banking, where we can just look at it every year and no one's ever lost a penny in the companies we use, we can just go, what's it done? The person that went and did a study on 9,000 homes that were, bought, sold, and bought again or whatever, how did it go? How much is the appreciation in that area? Those are all easily available numbers, public information, basically. So nobody's lost money yet, double-digit returns, and it is a very serious part of a portfolio. In every portfolio, you should have the aggressive piece. It used to be stocks, that try to make 10, 12, 14%. Having 5, 10, 15% of your portfolio in something that's illiquid, you can't get it, that's not kicking off income, it's not a dividend stock, but it's a growth, home run, grand slam piece, super reasonable, super sound philosophically with asset allocation and portfolio management, and killer results. What it does if you have a small portion of your portfolio hitting home runs and grand slams. So let me start to wrap this up by just saying, I called it the mysterious math of market movement because you need to remember or learn for the first time, or let me not tell you what you need to do. I want to give you the opportunity to see clearly about the truth, the way that the market really moves, so you can decide, do I want to leave my money in a situation where it's at more risk, has higher fees, and lower returns than any of my other options, and the math that everything you have access to is using is a lie? You deserve to make the choice to know that, see that, understand that, leave your money there for God knows why, or to reach out and say, I get it, but I don't understand the alternatives, which you couldn't because there's nowhere to learn them besides conversations with me and things like that. I don't understand the alternatives. Would you please point me to the materials where I could learn, where I could have the epiphany? I could see how do you know what to do? How do you know the right decision unless you know your options? I want to show you the other options. Reach out, charlie@jewettwealth.com, charlie@renovatingretirement.com, charlie@modfinancial.com, MOD as in David. Any of those work. Reach out. Let's have a conversation. Or you can go to my websites, jewettwealth.com and renovatingretirement.com, fill out your financial information, schedule some time with me. Either way is fine. I don't need your real name. I don't need your social security number. I don't need anything scary. I need to know your birthday, the state you live in, and your numbers. And everybody who's been through this process with me, I don't charge fees. I come back with a rough draft idea. Here's some things I would do if I were you. You don't have to. But here's 3 or 4 different options that I might do if I were you. And like everything else in life, building a custom home, I'm not right. You are. You end up at the end, when we go back and forth, getting exactly the custom, beautiful retirement plan that you wanted. I hope that was helpful. Why do I do this and talk to myself for 30, 40 minutes at a time? It's because I think you people are the best. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett.
But that's all, folks.